If you're new to animation, you might have heard the term onion skinning, but you might not know what it is or why it makes a difference when you turn it on until you try animating something without it and then it looks jumpy instead of smooth. So in this video, I'm going to explain what onion skinning actually is and how you use it to make animating easier. So what is onion skinning? Onion skinning is the animation technique where animators can see several frames of animation at once. At its core, using onion skinning lets you line your action up and see which piece of the drawing you need to change little by little to get the sequence of movements that you need to create your animation. In another way, it lets you catch if anything is misaligned. But why is it called onion skinning? It seems like a very strange term to use to describe this technique. But the thing is that calling it onion skinning actually describes this technique perfectly. Let me explain. In onion skinning, we've established that your drawings are pretty much layered over each other, right? And that you're able to see them through because the drawings themselves become slightly transparent. So if you have an onion and you cut it open, the onion has layers.
Layers! Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers? You get it. We both have layers.
Just like your drawings are arranged in layers, the onion is arranged in layers. And not only that, I don't know if you know this, if you're not familiar with cooking or you haven't spent a lot of time cutting up onions, but onions themselves are transparent, and especially when you cook them, they can become transparent enough that you can actually see through them. So that's why onion skinning, being called onion skinning, actually makes sense. But all of this only explains what it is. What does it actually do? How do you actually use onion skinning in your animation? I touched on it a little bit earlier, but to go into it a bit more, you have to understand this. When your frames become those transparent layers of animation that you layer on, and then you're able to see your drawings in between, this means that you're able to see if your action is following arcs, if you have to change a certain thing to convey a story better, if you have to do anything, it lets you line up your action, line up your story, and lets you see where something might be misaligned, making your animation jumpy. And this only works if your layers are transparent. And there's a couple ways that you do get your layers transparent so that you can actually view onion skinning. If you're working with paper, you're going to use onion skinning usually with a light table, or your paper itself is going to be slightly transparent. And this will let you see in between the drawings and be able to flip through them quickly and see how everything lines up. Because again, that lining up of your drawings is really what lets you animate smoothly. And it's pretty much impossible if you don't have onion skinning on. But that's how you do it with paper. How do you do it with digital? With digital, it's a lot easier. All you have to do is usually switch it on. This is an example from Procreate because that's what I tend to use when I'm animating in a more traditional sense versus in After Effects. And the way that it works, you just turn it on with a click of a button, and then I can choose how many drawings I see before and after the frame that I'm on. Again, the most important part about onion skinning is that it lets you see all of your drawings at once, or enough of them that you can make sure that your action, if you're raising your hand, lowering the hand, if you're blinking, that all of that story and action, it lines up. Without onion skinning, you could start your drawing over here and you could accidentally draw the next one over here. It's an extreme example. More likely you'll draw it over here and then accidentally you'll draw the next one over here. But with onion skinning, you eliminate that and you can animate easier, smoother, and that's what makes onion skinning so important, so powerful. You should definitely be using onion skinning as soon as you start animating. It can make a huge difference. If learning about onion skinning like this came as a surprise, filled with a couple things that you didn't realize about onion skinning, it's not the only thing that beginners stumble on when they first start animating. There are some terms that actually trip beginners up in the beginning because you're just learning them. Or worse, you learned it early and you missed a crucial part of what makes the technique great. Just like this video breaks down here.